Hello, Maddie's sister. I was just making a quick video to try and help you with what you're looking at in your math class. I'm going to try and just do a few different types of problems, keep it pretty short and sweet. But if there's something I didn't cover, or if there's like a specific problem I did you'd like to see more of, just let me know and I can kind of make a new video. But I didn't want to just babble on for like 20 minutes. But for long division, if you're dividing by a single number, let me know if you're doing something different than this, like a single digit number, like one number long. The first thing you always want to kind of look at is like if you're dividing by 4, you want to look at your first place. And you want to ask yourself, how many times would 4 go into 9? Or like sometimes it'll go in evenly, sometimes it won't. So I usually kind of count on my fingers, at least in my head, but 4, 8. So it would go into it 2 times. So 2 times 4 is 8. So you're going to put that below the 9. And when you're doing division, you're always subtracting. So 9 minus 8 would be 1. And then you bring down the next number that you haven't messed with yet, that you're dividing into. So now we're kind of in a similar situation. We're going to ask ourselves, we're looking at this whole thing. So we're looking at 13. How many times would 4 go into 13? So like in my head or on my fingers, I count 4, 8, 12. So it would go in 3 times. And that would be 12. 3 times 4 would be 12. So then you're going to subtract 13 minus 12. That would be 1. Because 3 minus 2 is 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. So we just get a 1. And now we're going to bring down this 6. And we want to ask ourselves, how many times would 4 go into 16? 4, 8, 12, 16. 4 times. So 4 times, so we'd write a 4 here. And 16 minus 16, well, that would be 0. 1 minus 1 would also be 0. So you get 0. So our answer would just be 234. And we didn't have a remainder because everything subtracted nicely. Let's look at a question where we get a remainder, though, because this might be more of what you're doing in your class. I'm not sure. But let's look if we divide 3 into 427. You want to ask yourselves, how many times would 3 go into 4? Well, 3, because 6 would be too big. So just 1 time. So 1 times 3 is 3. You're going to subtract. 4 minus 3 would be 1. Bring down your next digit. How many times does 3 go into 12? 3, 6, 9, 12. So 4 times. So 4 times 3 is 12, like we said. You're going to subtract. You would get 2 minus 2 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So basically, it's just 0. But you still got to bring down this 7. So, I mean, 0, 7 is really just 7. Basically, this just cancels out. So how many times does 3 go into 7? 3, 6. Because you can't get any closer than that because 9 would be too big. So 2 times. So 2 times 3 is 6. If you subtract, you would just get 1. And if you ask yourself how many times does 3 go into 1, well, it doesn't. So you can't do any more. So this is called our remainder. And I don't know in your class if this is where you stop. But sometimes you might need to change this remainder into a decimal. So if you do more than this, one thing you can do is our answer would be 142. You're going to take your remainder and divide it by 3 or put it over 3. Sometimes you keep it as a fraction, or sometimes you might divide that 1 divided by 3, like in a calculator would be 0.33. So I'm not sure how you have to write your answer, but you would either write it like this, or your teacher might just have you put your answer like this. So, I mean, these are all the same. So like I said, and if you need more with this, let me know. Like if you have to do something fancy with your remainder, like I said, I'm just kind of going in blind here. All right, and then I figured just in case, like I said, I wasn't sure what you were looking at. Let's say you're dividing by a 2-digit number. So if you're dividing by something with 2 digits like 24, there's 2 kind of number places we're looking at here. You're first going to look at the first two digits of what you're dividing into and ask yourself, how many times does 24 go into 52? And this might be a little bit harder to count on your fingers, but 24, 48, and then it's going to be way too big. So it goes into it 2 times. If you have a calculator, you can even multiply 24 times 2, 24 times 3, see how close you can get without going over. But if you subtract this, I'm not sure exactly what your skills are. So you would have to borrow. So 12 minus 8 is 4. And then 4 minus 4 would just be 0, or it would cancel out. So now we're going to bring down the 8, and we want to ask ourselves, how many times would 24 go into 48? 24, 48, twice, and it goes into it perfectly. So we put another 2, and we would subtract 48, which would be basically 0. So our answer would just be 22, and there's no remainder. Everything subtracted out perfectly. So that's a little bit of practice with long division. Like I said, I'm a little rusty myself. I've never taught at an elementary level, but I hope this maybe it's helpful. And if you need something more specific, if you send me kind of what problems you're looking at, like a picture, I can try and either help you or make another video.